Okay, I'm recording.
Perfect.
How are you doing? Where are we at? Besides you
Okay,
suffering
so
from the flu, miserable.
and I'm sorry about your doggy.
Oh, yeah, you know what? It was really unexpected. I went in, um, she was bloated, and I thought, man, maybe I'm feeding her too much raw chicken because I feed my dogs raw. And I just thought, no, I've had her. She doesn't. I just was weird. And then on Monday, she wouldn't go out on a walk with us. And anyways, I could spend an hour talking about that amazing dog. But she,
Yeah.
on Tuesday, I was like, I gotta take her in. She looks really bloated. And come to find out, she had internal bleeding and cancer all over. And she was going to be suffering soon. She wasn't suffering yet, but it was like, I have to do something now. I can't.
Mm,
And if I do surgery, she'll die in 3 months. Within 3 months.
yeah.
So it was a terrible, horrible loss, but I got a lot out of it. I'm actually going to do a separate video of me talking about what I've experienced with her. It's just amazing. So
Oh, that's
amazing.
wonderful.
Yesterday was the hardest day, but it was the most amazing day. You know, because I put her down on Tuesday night. And so you can imagine, as you understand how heartbreaking it can be. But I really had an amazing, amazing day yesterday grieving. It was amazing. I can't even explain it other than the bone crushing love that I felt from that dog. Blew my socks off. Anyways, so.
Yeah, no, I texted you. I don't know when. I think Saturday or Sunday that my dog from Peru had passed. She was here. She lived here. Um, it was me, the two dogs that I had, and her.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time, I was drinking, and it was too much for my mother to take care of me and the two dogs. And since I already had the toy poodle that passed away in August, she sent this one back to Peru. We brought two dogs from Peru. They were rescued. And so I always had that guilt. I always had that guilt that I couldn't do anything. And then by the time I wanted to bring her, she was already too sick, and they wouldn't let her fly.
Oh.
So I would take care of her, send money for the vet. She had to see the vet every 2 weeks, and and she was very close with my grandfather. And he died like almost a year ago. So she wanted to. She was tired.
Yeah.
She wanted to go. She wanted to go rest.
Yep, and she probably did a good job. Her job was done.
Yeah. Yeah, she was a beautiful, beautiful dog. And I always felt so guilty for not being able to stop my mom from sending her back. But I had to let that go because she loved me. Whenever I would go to Peru, she would jump on my arm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, such a loving dog. So that's kind of what's been going on. That was Friday. I was leaving the meeting. I got to an AA meeting, and my father called me from Peru because he's over there, my father, and for the first time, in a long time, I dealt with the death in a very gracious way, without binging or purging or
going into your self-pity party.
Yeah, feeling sorry for myself, but I said, well, the bad spirits or whatever, wanted to get me one way or another. So then, all of a sudden, I woke up Saturday morning, just shot, completely shot, unable to move and talk. So, and I was like, I'll take this.
Yeah.
I'll take this over binging and purging. You can't stop me.
Right? It's so true.
Yeah.
That's big progress for you.
It is. It's huge. It's huge progress. And then also, and then I'm sharing this, but my menstrual cycles have been very irregular, and especially after starting IOP, like they used to be like 45 days, and then they went up to like 50 and 60 while I was in IOP, and then Saturday, like I got my period, and it's 40 days.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, wow, okay, so that's
might be regulating itself a little bit better.
Yeah, a little bit better.
Well, you remove that kind of fight or flight response, that stress response, that's got to have an impact on your endocrine system. You know, how your ovaries respond to severe stress.
Yeah, well, that's what I was kind of looking at. It was like less stress, less days in between cycles. I was like, okay, I'll take it.
Yeah, it might come sooner. You might actually have it within 30 days.
Yeah.
Which sucks for you.
Oh, well, that's true, right? It's like, yeah.
No, but you do want to, you know, if you're regular, it certainly helps you manage the symptoms, right, of PMS.
Yes.
They do exist.
Yeah. Oh, they do.
I know. I'm so sick of it. Oh, I hate my period. I hate and I love it, you know, only because I have babies and you can appreciate that. But you're young too. How old are you? 35?
No, I'm 38.
You're 38. Yeah. Well, still, that's still young.
Yeah, no, it is. It is. It is. So, so that's what's been going on. You know, it's funny. I've been that on Monday I saw the school's nurse, and she said, you may have strep, so you need to leave. So she sent me to the urgent care, and and they have a scale there. This is where I'm like, okay, well, I'm a work in progress. I'm not gonna beat myself up. There was a scale, and I haven't weighed myself in a while, actually. I haven't even thought about it.
Yeah.
Actually.
That's awesome.
And it just kind of happened.
So were you just curious? Had a curious, I wonder what it is? Without any...
No, she just said, get on the scale. But she didn't even ask me to take off my shoes, and I didn't even take them off. I could tell, I wasn't really thinking.
Oh, that's a big deal. That's a big deal.
And, yeah. And then, she did it, and, can I say the number or no?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, because I know in IOP we're not allowed to.
Oh, I don't give a shit. The goal is that you're indifferent. So what does it fucking matter?
Okay. Yeah, so I was like, so she said, 126. And then, then she's like, all right, the doctor will be right back. And she walked away, and I was left there, and I was like, wait a minute. I'm 126, and I have my shoes on, and I have my clothes on, and I have this heavy watch, and I haven't really used the bathroom yet. So, you know what I did? I started taking off my shoes.
Oh, that's funny.
I know.
That's funny.
It just pulled me in. It sucked me right back. It sucked me in. And then I was like, well, now I want to see what's my weight. And then it was like 124, but I still had my clothes on.
Yeah. Well, tell me this. Does it matter?
Exactly.
Does it matter?
Exactly. No, it doesn't.
It's kind of funny, right? Because it's not going to change the way you're doing things. Whether you're 124 or 154, does it really matter?
No, it doesn't matter.
No, that's a good thing.
It's so sneaky.
Well, the curiosity around that, to me, is normal. It's how you respond to it that matters. So if you got any gratification out of that, you're in trouble.
So did I?
I don't know. You tell me. Did it feel good? Did you go, yes?
I think I was surprised.
Why?
And then because my thought, even in IOP, was always, if I just eat without controlling and micromanaging, I'm going to gain weight.
Well, that's the belief. That's what your emotions feel, right? That's
Yeah.
how I emotionally felt too. It's like if I don't control all this, I'm going to get huge. I mean, it'd be massive. So that's obviously your fear of gaining weight is why you control everything. And so to let go of all those controls, you have to go into your fear and say, I accept gaining all this weight. I accept it because I cannot live with these controls anymore. So I will allow myself to eat pizza. I'm going to allow myself to have a sandwich. I'm going to not freaking control everything. I'm going to order something off the menu without micromanaging everything that's in it like a freaking weirdo, right?
Yeah.
And so you open yourself up to that reality and, the body is going to manage itself. And then so did you, what did that number to you? What did it mean?
Well, like nothing.
Was it surprised? Were you surprised? So were you surprised by the number? Were you surprised by it?
I was surprised by the number because I'm like I still have clothes on. I have my period, and they say you weigh more when you have your period. You retain water. Like I had all this story. So
what were you expecting?
Yeah.
Were you expecting something different?
I was expecting to have gained weight.
So how much were you thinking you were going to weigh?
I don't know, like 130.
You could be 130 the next time you go. If you're done.
Yeah, exactly.
So what does it matter? Do you really want to pay attention to it? Do you really want to care?
No.
Yeah, so the thing is, it's really about not caring. It's the indifference about it, like whether you're 124 or 150. If you're over it, it's irrelevant. And the thing is this, there's two sides to that irrelevant. If you refuse to weigh yourself, is it really irrelevant?
No.
Okay, there's that side. But if you have to weigh yourself, is it irrelevant? So do you see the sides to it?
No, you have to know.
Yeah, so the goal is that it's here nor there.
Part of it. Yeah, like the first part, how it happened so naturally where I didn't even offer to take my shoes or ask her, shouldn't you want me to take my shoes off?
No.
It just kind of happened. But then it's what I did with it afterwards. That it's like, okay. It's kind of like buying the animal crackers, having it here, and then the next day, throwing it away.
Yeah.
It's like I'm throwing out recovery.
I don't need it. Oh, well.
Yeah.
I think it should be indifferent, right? You want to be indifferent about the animal crackers. Whether they're here or not doesn't matter. Because if I'm hungry and I want them, I'll eat them. And if I'm not, I won't. So it doesn't matter if they're here or they're not here. Because if they're not here, I'll go buy some if I want some. I don't have to manage it. I don't have to control it. I don't have to worry about it. We don't have to feel bad about it. I don't have to do anything, So if the other part of this is with the whole weight thing, are you going to do something to maintain this where you're at?
No.
So if the next time you go in and you're 135 pounds,
all right.
Are you willing to change the way you're eating because of it?
No, I'm not.
So do you see how that works? If you're not okay with that number, you have to change the way you're eating.
Yeah.
Do you see how that?
I'm not.
Yeah. So if you're like, I don't care, I don't even want to care. What happened for me is I became witness to how messed up the diet industry was. They say that's fattening. You can't, it's going to kill you. Like it's a landmine. They're emotionally destructive, right? Around the catastrophizing that they put onto food. And then you go into recovery and you're eating what the fuck you want. You're not controlling any of it. You're not shaming any of it. You're not fear-mongering any of it. You're not any of it. You're eating to hunger, right? And your body's it's not a catastrophe. Nothing bad has happened. Everything's okay. It just makes it so clear how it's a fraud. That industry is a complete fraudulent industry. It's just, they're frauds. Did you get that sense at all?
Yeah, no.
I basically listened to their shit and it destroyed my life. I do nothing and my whole body can manage itself.
Yeah, no. If anything, my something else that happened. My boyfriend bought me chocolate covered strawberries for Valentine's Day on Tuesday, and that's something that I would have never like. I haven't eaten like chocolate covered strawberries in a really long time. So and I think I was hungry. We were sitting down and I was hungry, and I think I had two, and then I still have two left in my refrigerator. They were in a package of 8. Mm-hmm. And yes, and that's like you, like that's like wait, what? Like I still have chocolate-covered strawberries.
And I haven't thought about them, and I'm not obsessed about them, and I don't feel like I've done something wrong, and I don't have to hide them.
No, I mean anything, Robin. Listen to this. My mom and my stepfather stopped by yesterday, and I'm gonna like share it with them. And that's something I would have never done either, because I hide. When I buy stuff like that, I hide, and I want it all for myself. And I gave them, like I shared it with them. But like, listen to this. I did, like after I shared it, like I didn't even think about it. I said, "Do you guys know about orange?" They said yes, and they each had one. And then I walked in here, and then there are 2 left. And then I wasn't hungry. I had already eaten dinner, and I wasn't hungry. But I wanted to eat them. I wanted to eat them both because I started feeling deprived, and I started feeling like somebody was going to take them away from me. So I might as well eat them now before they get taken away from me.
Did you eat them?
No, they're still in the refrigerator.
Well, good for you for not believing that. Because you can get more. You can get more there. You can get chocolate covered strawberries all year round.
I know. But I was like, where is this coming from? Like, I was on the phone with my boyfriend wasn't here anymore, and I was on the phone, and I just said, hey, hon, I want to eat the strawberries, but I'm not hungry. And it's coming from, like, an anxious place. And then he's like, well, just take a shower, like, do your thing, see how you feel, and
you can have them when you're hungry.
Okay, so
what that's a sign of, and you caught it, which is good, is that it's like, oh, I feel like I have to eat it now. It's like now, it's here now. Do you really need to eat it now? Can you have it later? Is it available later? Did you go through any of that in your head? Like, oh, it's gonna be here. It's gonna be here. I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah, no, I did. I said, they're there. I can have them whenever I want. Sure, if I want more, after they're eaten, I can get more.
Okay, so how did that help that feeling of deprivation? What happened to that feeling of deprivation when you realized I can get more?
It dissipated.
Yep.
Now bring me.
If you have to lose weight, or if you can't eat those because they're bad or fattening, what happens?
Oh, then I'm going to want them more.
Just now. And you would have had those too, and then you would have said, fuck it, I'm going to go, hey, honey, I'm going to go to the grocery store, and you would have had a binge fest.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
See how predictable that is?
Yeah.
And does it really have anything to do with the food? Did it really have anything to do with the food? Or the feelings of deprivation that you felt?
No, it was the feeling of deprivation.
And then feeling like I did something wrong. Oh, I did something wrong. I shouldn't have eaten them. Oh my God, I ruined it. Yeah. No, so we get rid of all that. And again, the way you get rid of all that is by accepting weight gain.
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing how that basically pulls the foundation? It just breaks the whole foundation and everything just goes, and then you don't have a problem.
No.
Are you surprised?
I'm amazed. I feel I haven't felt like this much like freedom, and I know I'm just barely scratching the surface, like my whole life. I can't even, maybe when I was like a child or something, I don't know, but even then.
No, yeah, it's like when you were a child, probably, before food became threatening. No.
Yeah.
Yeah. And to just be like, it's abundant. And it's not something to be afraid of. I can get more. Again, if you had to lose weight or stay this thin, all of that freedom just goes away. right? All of it. Do you feel that? Can you get a sense of that? Like if I had to lose weight or if I had to stay 124,
Yeah, no, that's ridiculous.
all that
That's
freedom
like,
goes away.
so,
You can't eat those strawberries, chocolate covered strawberries. You can't. Right? Because you can't control yourself.
I ate them. I ate them after that.
Well, you eat them when you're hungry.
Yeah.
And if you're still hungry and there's not any more, you have a bowl of cereal. You just eat until you're not hungry anymore.
I have chicken noodle soup.
Yeah,
that's
can
what
you?
I'm gonna have.
That's right. Because you're sick. Have you noticed that you're not very hungry right now?
Yes.
Yeah, that's because you're inflamed. You're inflamed. That's because your need for food is 0 right now. Like your body is super inflamed. So if you ate on the schedule that you were supposed to eat, you would be absolutely be gaining quite a bit of fat. Because you're super inflamed and you'd have to force feed yourself. And that's the last thing your body wants to do is digest food. It's trying to focus all of its energy on this virus that you have. It's amazing how it works.
So then what happens when people tell you like the medicine that I'm taking needs to be taken with food?
You wait until you're hungry and you eat it with food.
Okay.
Yeah, like are you on? Yeah, what you wait until you're hungry and eat it with food. That's what I do. You're gonna be hungry at some point.
Especially in the morning. So at night, yes, but in the morning, twice a day, in the morning and at night. So
just wait till you're hungry, whether it's at 11 o'clock or noon, or you'll be hungry, and then when you're hungry, you eat it again. Do you drink coffee?
Huh?
Do you drink coffee?
I drink coffee, yes.
Do you put cream in it?
I put almond milk.
Okay, well that's food.
Okay. So tomorrow I'll take it with my coffee.
Yeah. Yeah, if you got cream in it.
Yeah, because I did eat this morning. And I wasn't hungry. Mm-hmm. And I ate a piece of toast because I wanted to take the medicine.
Yeah, and that's not a big deal.
Well, that's what I thought.
Yeah, no, that's not a big deal.
Right?
You are doing it right. You are doing it right. You're thinking about this logically. It's like, well, I need to eat it with food. I'll have something light. I'm not very hungry. I'll have a half a banana. It doesn't matter. You're doing a great job. Okay. If you didn't have to take medication, you probably would have waited to have that toast. And that's how I do it. It's like, and then when you have your menstrual cycle, it'll be all over the place. You're going to be really, really hungry with PMS. And then when you start your period, your hunger diminishes. And then it's almost like you can hardly eat. And then the day you ovulate, it's like PMS that day. Like, oh my God, I'm hungry early. And it takes a lot more. And you just go with it. So easy.
Okay, because I have both. I have my period and I'm sick. So I could go the whole days without eating.
For now, but it'll radically shift. So there's going to be a day here soon where you're hungry all day long. And you just got to go, well, I'm going to eat all day long if that's what it takes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. You see why in order for you to be able to eat this way, you have to let go of your weight issue.
Yes.
It would be a nightmare to eat to hunger if you are not free to just be in your body. And if the body's not free to just be a body, it's a freaking nightmare to do it because you're constantly going. Right now, you'd be like, oh my God, I'm not hungry. I want to be thin. It's amazing. And then all of a sudden, you're going to be hungry and you're going to go, there's something wrong. I'm hungry.
No. Yeah.
Yeah, well, then you eat. But what if I gain weight? Yep, that's what's going to happen. You're going to be so fucking huge. Just get over it. I can't, Robin. Okay, well, then don't complain. You have really seriously made a huge shift somewhere along the line.
Yeah, I feel it.
Wouldn't you rather be heavy?
Yeah, I'm
You over it?
Totally. I'd rather be heavy. I have no problem.
Me too. Me too.
I have diabetes. I haven't even I'm supposed to be pinching myself for my blood glucose 3 times a week when I see the endocrinologist. in a couple months, and I haven't even been doing that.
I cannot wait for you to go back to the endocrinologist for them to do your blood work and see what happened. And you need to let them know that you had a severe eating disorder before and you've gotten treatment and you're recovered, so that they can tell that's why there's a difference. It's very important for their own observations. You need to let them know, well, what we were doing. I was binging and purging. Highly stressed, super high anxiety, right? Oh, super stressed, super stressed.
Obsessed.
That's anxiety. Yeah, that's what fear is. In chronic, intense fear. And that's gone. They need to know that, because your numbers are going to come back totally different. Unless you're type 1 diabetic. Then they won't,
Yeah, no. It's type 2, I think. I'm they've diagnosed me as pre-diabetic for type 2.
Yeah, what's amazing is that if they don't ask about your stress increases your blood sugar naturally. So I think it's relevant to ask someone, are you under stress? That's kind of a big deal, because that means that this isn't a problem. It means that it's a circumstance of stress. That's how the body responds, is to break down liver glycogen and to produce blood sugar without you needing to eat. That's what stress does. That's kind of an important thing to ask someone if you're going to tell them they're diabetic or pre-diabetic. You under stress? You got it. And exactly.
I mean, I'm still taking it. I'm afraid of
Well, without the stress, if you're still taking metformin, you might have issues.
Okay.
Right? Because you're taking something, you're no longer stressed out. So what's your likelihood that you're going to need the metformin is probably much smaller. Right?
Okay.
So maybe you do need to do your blood test so that you can see that you don't need the metformin anymore.
Okay. I think my appointment with her is in June, though.
Do you do blood tests to check your blood sugar?
Oh, the strips with the strips. Mm-hmm. I do that. Yeah.
Do you feel that you need to take the metformin?
Well, I just take it because they told me to take it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, I'm not a doctor. I can't tell you to stop.
Yeah.
But what you could do is call the office and say, you know what? I've had some major changes. I want to ask their opinion about it.
Okay.
Very
good.
There's no harm in doing that.
No.
So, how can this type of recovery not have a positive effect on your symptoms? Or a negative effect on the symptoms, meaning the symptoms go away. How can it not? Think about what you were doing before and how it would affect your central nervous system. Severe. It's not just I was stressed out. It's severe to where I had obsessive compulsive coping mechanisms.
Yeah.
That are gone now. They're gone. Is this hard? Would you say that at this point this has been really hard? We're managing it?
No.
Would you say it's effortless?
Once you get over that hurdle, like that wall, once you open that door,
it's over.
It's over.
Now, why would you go back? Right? Why would you go back?
It's not worth it.
Well, I do want to say that sometimes people get here and they do go back because there are certain things. There's certain things that they didn't think about, and until it's in front of them, and then they're like, "Oh my God, I gotta lose weight," and then they don't know why they relapsed. And then they learn because they relapsed. Oh, I'm not fully recovered, and so sometimes it takes those moments for people to go, oh my God. But the continuous willingness to gain weight, you have to continually willingly gain weight. I have done this for 20 years. I don't think about it anymore because to me it's like a no-duh decision, I would rather be overweight. I'd rather lose my legs. I'd rather be diabetic. I would rather and be completely obese on a cruise, right? As the mother of the bride, I'd rather be rotund mother of the bride than to go back there. Right?
Yeah.
I know. To me, that's like not a big deal. That's so not worth shame. It's not worth hiding for. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. It's the physicality of the body. Who gives a shit?
Oh my gosh.
It's like saying there's something wrong with being a paraplegic. You shouldn't you shouldn't get married to people. You should sit in your wheelchair and hide. I mean, that's so bad. Why would you do that to anybody? To me, it's like, so what? If you're rotund, so what? You're alive. You're conscious. You have this awareness. You have complete and total consciousness. You have access to all of this reality and the freedoms and the infinite possibilities of thinking. And the body is actually giving it to you. Right? Why reject that so that you can take all of it and focus on losing weight? Permanently, because you can't not think about it, you know? Because you have to obsess over the food. I mean, is this clear to you at this point? Is it really clear?
Yeah, and like Saturday, my boyfriend and I did go out to dinner. We had already made reservations for Valentine's Day, and I didn't look up the menu before to try to find at least salad or soup or whatever.
That's so funny that you just said that.
When I looked at the menu and something really jumped out at me. It was like a shrimp linguine pesto or something.
Yum.
Linguine pesto with shrimp. Oh my God. I was like, that's what I want. That's what I want. And I order it. And I was a little hungry, but not really hungry because I've been sick.
Yep.
So we were sitting, we were talking. I ate. I felt satiated. I stopped, and then we actually had the leftovers for dinner on Sunday.
Ooh, and I bet they were better. That pesto probably just
better.
Went. Yeah, I love it.
It was so much, and there was no thought. There was no there was nothing. There was just so much freedom, to actually just order something that I actually wanted, and then have it twice. That never would have happened. No, I can only do it one day. And then tomorrow I'll start over again.
Yeah, no. Doesn't that just sound ridiculous? Does that not just sound? Yeah, doesn't that sound ridiculous when you hear that?
I know.
That is so ridiculous. What is worth that type of suffering? Nothing.
Not this.
No.
Nothing.
I know. Can you imagine you lived in that shit for so long?
I have.
It's ridiculous. It's like there is nothing you have done to deserve that. No amount of thinness is worth that.
No.
Not worth it. And it's so freeing to just order what sounded good to you, to taste it. That's something you're not even talking about. You tasted it. You actually put it in your mouth and you were like, oh, this is good. And so you experienced it. If you were binging, you wouldn't have tasted it. It would have just been in. You wouldn't have even enjoyed it. In fact, you wouldn't have picked that. You would have picked what you felt deprived of. So you would have picked something that's probably too sweet and you can't even enjoy it. Just, the fact that you enjoy the shrimp pesto linguine is just so not a binge. Right? But you never would have ordered it because it's bad and it's fattening. So you would have gotten this goddamn soup and goddamn salad, and then you would have binged afterwards because it felt so depriving. You didn't even get to taste any food. You're drinking liquid. Which is great and all if you're sick, but
Yeah.
it's just you're not living, you're not even enjoying the life you have, and you have this precious time. Get the goddamn linguine.
Yeah. And we ate it again the next day.
I know.
And it was even better.
I know. And you don't have to be so full. Welcome to what it feels like when you're recovered.
Oh,
I've been here for 20
well,
years.
thank you.
Right. Congratulations. What would promote a relapse for you? Is there anything
What
you
would
could
promote?
think of that you would go back into that suffering for?
Well, I just went through my dog's death, right?
Well, yeah, so you're not feeling sorry for yourself. How about
I'm not.
what if you get married and you're going to need to get wedding dress and there's wedding pictures?
Okay. Well, then, okay. Whatever, whatever size, whatever. It doesn't matter. I'll
Or do you
wear
want
a
to lose
dress.
weight? What if you get into a dress and it doesn't look good and you want to be a smaller size? How does that sound to you?
It sounds ridiculous.
Okay, good. You got it. What if you you guys are going to go on a cruise and you're going to be in a bathing suit?
Yeah.
You're going to
And
want to
I'm
lose.
gonna look good.
Are you going to try to lose weight?
No.
Yeah, I had to do this. Remember last time we talked, I was like, we got to solidify it. It needs to become solid. This is how I did it. I just went, I'd rather chop my leg off. To me, being morbidly obese is such a better alternative. So much better. As long as, you're loving and caring and gracious and aren't held hostage to shame about it, right? That's where a lot of people have issues. You can't see past that, Anyways. Awesome. So what else would put you in a position to feel sorry for yourself? Because that's a trigger for you, right? For me.
Yeah, well, yesterday, that feeling sorry, I was wondering, where did that come from? That feeling of feeling deprived, because I haven't been depriving myself. But it was a fleeting moment, it came.
Yeah, but you didn't respond to it.
No, I didn't.
Yeah. You're more than likely you'll never feel deprived. And it could have been triggered by the fact that you were willing to share.
Yeah.
I'm going to have less. And then you realize, no, I can always get more. And then it just goes away.
Okay.
It's like that moment. It's like the one insecure kid always wanting to say, but you're going to have this. It's like the fear-based voice in there. But you're going to die. You're not going to get any more, And then you're just like, yeah, there it is. We're just not going to respond to that. Yeah, the fact that you noticed it, acknowledged it, and didn't do anything about it is a big deal.
Okay.
You didn't give it oxygen. It's like, oh, well, no, I don't have to eat it all right now. I can save it later. Same thing at the restaurant when you were out with your boyfriend. You could have eaten that whole thing because it was so good. But why do that and be uncomfortable?
Yeah.
Physically uncomfortable. Why can't you just eat it later? It's not going anywhere. You can have it tomorrow. The fact that you're not on that fear of gaining weight means that you can eat it tomorrow. And you don't feel bad about eating it. It's not bad food, right? You don't feel withheld. You don't feel restricted. You don't feel denied. You actually are enjoying it. You don't feel that you've done something wrong by enjoying that food. The pressure is completely gone around food. Notice how that's secondary to the willingness to gain weight. Do you see that? That the issues with food, issues with food have naturally diminished. It hasn't taken effort. It's natural. It's like natural. Second, it's like our nature with food is this way. And when you have fear of weight gain and that puts you into fear of food, your food behavior becomes naturally different. It's natural to be shifty-eyed and controlling around it, right? Because you're in fight or flight around food. Because it's threatening your desires to be thin. So how you respond to that environment of food promotes binging and it promotes all that other activity. You could say that was a natural way of being in a diet environment. It comes naturally. You're in it. You binge. You feel bad about what you're doing. You feel like you ruined something and you're going to binge, especially when I'm going to purge or do something about it. You're going to binge. So it's promoting that. It's like that's a natural way of being in that environment. But once we change the dynamic of the need to be thin, all of a sudden the way you exist with food naturally goes to a different place. It's effortless. Effortless. Right? What does this tell you about the whole concept of force feeding for recovery?
What does this tell me about force feeding?
Yeah, because isn't that kind of what they had you do, the meal planning and the force feeding?
Yes. 3 times a day and 2 snacks. What does this tell me?
Yeah, like if you were to compare the difference between the non-force feeding but relaxed, the route, what we've done, and compared to the force on the other side.
Yeah. Well, for me, there was no freedom. I was still obsessed with measuring and making sure that I had these many starches and these many it all revolved around that. So, and then eating when I wasn't hungry, it just wasn't good.
No, and you still had those feelings about fear of gaining weight. You still had all that.
Oh yeah.
You still had the desire to be thinner.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, well, because of that, you can see that you're just living in perpetual anxiety around I have to force feed to make sure that because I won't binge, but at the same time I want to be thin, so how do I restrict these forced feedings?
Yeah, no, and I remember breaking down one day. They have challenge meals on Mondays. So they provide the meal. And it's it could be anything, and it didn't follow my meal plan. It was more starches than that. And I remember freaking out, how can you call yourselves a recovery center when you're feeding me stuff that doesn't align with my meal plan? You've given me.
Yeah, well, I could see why they would think that in theory. They're trying to get you to be willing to adapt and be out of control. I understand the theory behind that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, none of it is addressing the actual problems underneath it all, which is your desire to be thinner. None of it.
Exactly.
They just think you have a food problem. You don't have a food problem. You have a food consequence. Like I said, it's all a consequence. Your way of being with food is going to be that way under this situation. Change the situation, your natural way of being with food changes. You're now witnessing that from the inside, right?
I am. Yeah, absolutely.
This is effortless. What you're doing with me is effortless. It is so easy. Now, facing your fear of gaining weight, that was not easy. That was excruciating pain. The willingness to gain weight. The first 3 sessions we had were extremely painful, but you had nowhere else to go and you had no alternative. Right? And then once you faced it, well, then once you let go of the thinnerness and you face the fatterness, was it as horrible as you thought?
No. It's really not.
Yeah,
it's really okay.
It's shocking, isn't it?
It is.
Right, because you clutched onto that.
I've been talking to some of my friends, and I'm probably getting on their nerves, but I'm and this is about me and my recovery. Obviously, but like I want to like shake people and open their eyes and be like, look, there is a way out.
Yeah, but you can't unless they're willing. Unless they've suffered enough, right? So they have to be willing to let this go. Put yourself where you were 5 months ago. You wouldn't have listened to this.
Yeah. No, I wouldn't have.
So you kind of have to let people, you have to let them figure it out.
Exactly.
It would be wrong to force them to do something they're not ready to do.
Yeah.
You know, some people have to suffer a lot more to get themselves in that place of willfulness to do it. You can't make them do it. You were willful, so that's why it worked. And it's still working, you know.
Yeah.
You had suffered enough.
I have. I have. I'm done.
Right. Well, the thing is, now that you've done this, you're like, why did I have to suffer so goddamn much? I could have done this years ago. Right? Like, oh my God, this was so dumb. It's so easy. It's like, oh, and then you see everything you were doing is based on some lie. It's all fiction. It's all like a fantasy. It's like you're living in some weird fantasy idea of what things are. They don't even exist. So your whole life is being wasted on some fantasy that doesn't exist. Your whole life. I have to be thin. I have to be thin. For what?
For what?
I know. Because that's what I need to do to feel good about myself. Okay, so you're willing to completely suffer and sacrifice the whole life for that? You feel good about your thinness, but you're miserable? Your whole life is miserable. I know. It took you being so miserable that you were willing to stop what you were doing. That's how miserable you had to be. And it sucks after you leave it, right? Again, in hindsight, you're like, really? Really? I had to go through, why? I could have done this 20 years ago. I could have just said, you know what? Who cares? 20 years ago. Because it's that easy. It's that right there.
It's that feeling of just wanting to like be perfect, you know, living a double life. Like, oh, I'm kind, I'm caring, I'm loving, and meanwhile inside I want to like kill them.
No, that's yourself. You're wanting to kill yourself. You're miserable yourself. Yeah. You know, I don't know. I think it's narcissism is what it is. It's survival mode. It's you don't feel safe in yourself, and that means you have to control your environment because you're not looking at yourself as why you're not safe. You're looking at something outside of yourself. So we, you know, what we do, what I do, if you want to look at it this way, is all we did is say you cannot change your environment. You cannot change your dog. You cannot change. Stop trying to change reality and change yourself. You know, let go of those fantasies. Why are you fantasizing? That's, if you look at it, you can see the fantasizing is why you feel so shitty about life. So fantasy isn't even real, but yet your life is real and you're making it seem horrible. When in reality, your life is real. It's just what it is. And the fantasy is what's horrible because it's nowhere close to reality. Did that make sense what I just said?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you realize that all these high expectations, that's where shame should be. Not reality. Reality is reality. This is not worthy of shame. But holding your reality to some fictitious standard, that is where shame exists. Can I get an amen?
Whoop, whoop. Amen.
I know. There's clarity, and like I said, you may go in and out depending on something showing up. You never know, but you got to be willing at all times for you to not go back into the binging and purging to gain weight. And it's not because you're using it as an excuse to overeat, but because you really don't give a shit. And so what happens is the need to you know, compartmentalize food and diminish food and say that I can only have one or two, that goes away. And so your likelihood of binging is 0. right? But you have to look at, why would you negotiate for more food? What is the position you're in? There's one, you feel that you are protecting yourself from gaining weight, but then there's two, I feel sorry for myself, right? You take those two and combine them together, and that's where issues occur. It's never really just one thing that promotes a binge. There's usually it's like a syndrome where there's multiple facets to it. Combined, you're going to binge. You see that? I feel sorry for myself and I want to eat, but I can't because I don't want to gain weight. You're going to binge. Yeah. It's a guarantee.
Yeah.
I feel sorry for myself. I want food. I can't gain weight. I'll do on a diet later. There's your binge. You know.
That's what happened. 2 Mondays ago.
Yeah. So you remove, you take away the dieting from existence. You look at, why am I feeling victimized? Fantasy, reality, trying to play God. I know what's best. God doesn't. I want a different reality, you know. I feel like I'm preaching to the choir right now, dearie.
This is good. This is very good.
Are you surprised?
Am I surprised?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like, I thought I was doomed. So, like, I mean, being in IOP, like, if the freaking professionals can help you, then I'm doomed. I'm just doomed. This is what I'm going to do the rest of my life.
Yep, and I know that's exactly what it feels like. It feels impossible. It feels like this is a disease and I can't escape it. Exactly what they said. But, you know, if you live the way they were telling you, that is the truth. You're not addressing the underlying issues. This is our 6th hour talking together. Well, 8 if you include the consult. 7.5. Yeah. That's it.
That's crazy.
Yeah, well, you were ready.
It's been a long time.
Yeah. I think it's amazing too how effortless this is after the fact. Effortless. People.
And even now.
Yeah, it's freaking effortless.
In its last days of being sick and not really having like hunger cues, but still like eating because of like, again, like I had to take my medicine and I was just like, well, let me have toast or let me have this. And it's like, then I thought, well, I'm eating and I'm not hungry. Like, whatever, so be it. Like, so be it. Like, I'm learning, right? Like,
yeah, you're figuring it out. So notice
how. I'm an expert. I'm figuring it out. I don't have to be an expert like overnight.
No, you don't. You are figuring this out and you're allowed the grace of it. And the good news, because you're okay gaining weight, that's what gives you the grace of it.
Yeah.
Do you see that?
Exactly.
I know.
Exactly.
If you can't gain weight, you don't get the grace. You would have binged.
No.
Oh my God, I ate something and I had to take the pill and I've already rest up and I'm going to gain weight. I should just binge all day. Right? That pressure. It's horrible. Yeah, in this case, it's like, well, no, I'm figuring this out. And that's where, you know, to start, the first start is you have to look at accepting weight gain. If you're not willing to accept weight gain, it's not going to work. You know, in your case, that's the first start. We couldn't start with, you're never going to be thinner. You have to be okay with where you're at. I think you would kind of come to that already, but you were definitely wanting to be thinner. I don't know. You held on to all the fantasy, but I don't know if you were to go back and look at all of our videos, don't you agree the first few videos are really addressing accepting weight gain? Go into it. Look at it. Don't hide from it. Breathe it in your lungs. You know, if you right, you know, when you go into that, it sets you up to actually experience what you're experiencing now, which is ease. Oh, it's so easy. Yeah, well, that's because you're okay gaining weight. If you weren't okay gaining weight, this would not be easy. I don't know. To me, if I were to go in and teach this to those clinics, wouldn't that be awesome?
Oh, that would be amazing.
I think there would be far more recovery rates.
Oh, absolutely. 100%.
I know. Save people a lot of money too. I don't think there's enough people who've experienced full recovery to actually go, why are you telling people they're addicted to food? That's not true. And they know it intuitively. They know it. It's just the only answer, but why is that good enough? That's not good enough. That's not true. And it takes someone like yourself or myself to go, okay, no. This is what this feels like. It's like I feel like I'm going to die because I'm gaining weight. To me is death. Okay. So of course I'm going to be impulsively restricting, but that restriction triggers this primal need for food. So I'm obsessed with food because I have this. I'm restricting myself. So why aren't they talking about the restrictions? They just talk about your food issues. It's like, well, the food issues are a consequence of my radical restrictions. Why? Well, okay, yeah, you're radically restricting. Well, why? Because I'm deathly afraid to gain weight. To you and I, that is so obvious, isn't it? Duh. To those practitioners who've not been in this, they can't see it. They don't know that. They're doing the best they can with what they know, which is you are binging.
They really are.
they
really are.
I know. They just
really
need some. It's like talk to a recovered person who has the context and the voice of understanding it. And that's really all I'm doing. Anyways, all right. Let's follow up.
Yeah, I'm kind of like not dreading, but I'm like, oh, at some point she's probably gonna tell me to go back to like some sort of physical activity, and I've really been enjoying like not doing anything.
Well, for now, of course, and at some point you're gonna go, God, Robin, shouldn't I be doing something? And I'll go, of course, you should have fun with your body. Go do something fun. Do you like to dance? Go to Zumba. Why do you have,
I love Zumba.
Okay, so you can do that anytime.
Okay.
So
how about yoga?
Oh, I love yoga so much. Yeah, and you'll notice now it has a different meaning and context for you because you don't have to lose weight and it's not for weight loss. You can actually be present in what you're doing. It's about enjoying your body, and you don't have to be thin to do that. You can be any size. Doesn't matter. And you don't do it because you expect to lose weight. You do it because I enjoy it. It's fun for me and it helps my back. It helps my posture. I like feeling strong. It has nothing to do with your narcissism. You're not surviving through Zumba, if that makes sense.
No.
Yeah. So you see how different that is?
Yeah.
So when you're ready, it's not all or nothing either.
Huh?
It's not all or nothing either. You'll get that. You'll get that soon, but right now there's no rush. Especially if you've abused yourself.
I'm really not in a rush. I bought like a coupon of like 10 kickboxing classes, and I'm only using 2, and I think it expires in April, and I'm like, listen, I don't care if it expires or not. Like, I'm not going yet. So, but if I'm not to go or whatever, or it expires, then it's okay.
Well, yeah, and you're really sick right now. I mean, you have influenza. You might want to. Your body's not gonna have the strength for probably another 10 days.
Yeah, no.
But there will be a time where you're like, I want to do something. Let's go do something, and you'll feel up for it. Your energy will be up for it.
Okay. Yeah. I'm in no rush.
That right there is recovery. How's that feel?
Awesome.
Someone who isn't recovered is going to listen to this conversation and go, I don't even get these two. I don't get it. How is she not caring about what she ate? How does she not obsess over it? How is she not obsessed?
She's probably faking it. And for once, I'm not. Like, for once, like, this is, like, real life. Like, what I had before.
Do you think I would not know if you were faking it?
You would. You've dealt with enough people to know.
Well, I've had it myself. It's kind of, I would probably discern it. I can tell when someone's not fully recovered, but they're processing the recovery. That to me is just as amazing. The process of it. The process of coming in and out and in and out. And you might go back in and you might come back out. And to me, that's like, yeah, you're in the process of recovery. That's what happens. But at least you know this exists.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a big deal. All right, my dear. Let's get you scheduled for next week.